I heard you were cheating before your wedding anniversary. I know how adults talk in Charlie Brown movies. My hearing was affected for about 5 minutes. Then, the sounds I was hearing began to be drowned out by the roaring, as the blood rushed to my ears in intense anger. I felt my knuckles turn white as I began to clench my fists. I was looking at my wife's face. I could see my wife's face, and I could see her lips moving as she tried to explain what she had just told me. But I wasn't listening to her anymore. I'd walked through the door 15 minutes early after coming home from work on Friday night. I was looking forward to having a beer and settling down so I could start enjoying the weekend with my wife. Well, you know what they say about best. I did get a beer. My wife put it on the kitchen table when I walked in the door. There wasn't much to the rest of my plan. There were 5 words. Honey, we need to talk. Before I get to the meat of this story, I should probably tell you a little bit about myself and my wife. My name is Robert Bader. I'm 28 years old. I have a good job at an IT consulting firm. I work at a computer science firm. I have a master's degree in computer science. I'm 5 feet 11 inches tall, weigh about 205 lb, have brown hair and eyes, and I keep in shape with daily visits to the gym and a morning jog. I've been told I have a beautiful face. My wife's name is Ella, but she is usually called Ida. She is 2 years younger than me, 5 feet 5 inches tall and fit. She goes to the gym about 3 times a week. She has blonde hair that falls just below her shoulders, blue eyes, toned legs, and a fantastic ass. She has a slim waist and 34D breasts. She's also very pretty. We met at a party in college. At the time, her name was Idell Masters. She was getting her bachelor's degree in accounting, while I had already been in graduate school for a year. We hit it off from the beginning. We dated throughout college and got married about a year after graduation. I should mention that she sometimes forgot to fully consider the implications of her decisions, especially if there was something she really believed in. There was a feminist streak in her, so she didn't want to just blindly take my name. When we got married, she wanted to hyphenate her last name with mine. It was her maiden name followed by my last name, like Scott Put or Rodham Clinton. I tried to tell her it wasn't a good idea, but she got defensive and accused me of being misogynistic. She also accused me of misogyny and trying to take away her identity. She brought up other women who had done this and were very successful. She talked about several of her friends who had done it without any problems. She ranted relentlessly about how patriarchy forces women to take their husbands' last names in order to subjugate women. I tried to explain that that was not the point here. I had no intention of trying to subjugate her. In the end, I just sat her down, wrote the last name with a hyphen, and made her read it 5 times. If she still wanted to use that name, I would no longer object. Ida Masters' Baader-Meinhof phenomenon suddenly made me realize that she was a natural blonde. We've been married almost 5 years, and we haven't had kids yet, but we've started working on it. We've been married for almost 5 years and haven't had kids yet, but we're trying. We talked about getting her pregnant on our 5th anniversary, which is in just over 2 months. She has a problem with the pill, so we always use protection when we have sex. Our plan was that on the night of our 5th anniversary, we would go without protection for the first time. It was going to be a special night for us, so I got a beer and sat at the table opposite my wife. I heard 5 words that made me really angry. I just want to try something a little different for a month or so before we have kids. I need to get rid of all this stuff before I settle down and become a mother. So, you want to date other guys while you're married to me? You want to have fun and make love to other guys, completely breaking your vows to leave everyone else behind? And you want me to be okay with that? Are you out of your mind? I almost shouted the last phrase. Look, it's only for a month or so. I need to sow the last of the oats, and then we can have our special 5th anniversary party like we planned. Once this little flare-up is over, I can settle down and be a loving, faithful wife for the rest of my life. I'm not asking for your permission. I'm just letting you know ahead of time so I don't cheat on you. You really? How can you make love to other guys without cheating on me? It's not cheating if you know about it and it's out in the open. It's only cheating if I try to cover it up and run behind your back. That's not the case here. That's why I tell you about it up front before it happens. Besides, it won't be every night. It will probably only be Friday or Saturday night. I'll be coming home in the morning and we'll still make love a few nights a week. I'll make sure to clean up before I get home from dating you. You'll never have to worry about sloppy seconds. I'm pretty sure I'll never have to worry about sloppy seconds because I won't touch you after you go on one of your dates. I'm not sure where this idea came from, but I thought I'd ask. I was talking to Susie about our plan to start a family. Susie, of course, is your Keo worker who has been divorced 4 times. The same Susie who cheated on all 4 of her ex-husbands. Husbands Are you really taking marriage advice from her? She said she needed to get everything out of her head before we start a family so she could relax and be a great mom and faithful wife without regretting anything she may have missed out on. She also suggested that this experience with other guys would help with our own lovemaking and teach her some new ways to pleasure you, which might open the way to an even better life for us. She came to like it, but it was pretty obvious that she was going to go through with it regardless of what I said. I tried to stop her. We had a few more arguments, but I was shot down each time. I think it's time to bring out the big guns because it's pretty obvious that you're going to go through with this, regardless of what I say. So, when are you planning your first date? I don't actually have a date yet, but Susie and I are planning to go. We're clubbing tomorrow night, but I have to warn you that if you try to bring anyone here, it'll end badly. I would never disrespect you like that. We'll either go to his house or his hotel room, or maybe we'll go back to Susie's. I'm not giving my permission, and I won't agree to any of this. But it's clear that my opinion has nothing to do with your decision. In that case, I won't touch you while this is going on. Also, keep in mind that this could have a big impact on our relationship. You may not be a good fit here. When you decide to come back, what do you mean? I'm not going anywhere. It's just 1 or 2 nights a week, and the rest of the time we'll be together. I won't let that happen if you're set on this. If you want to go, I'll let you. I don't care where you go, but you're not going to live here while you date and make love to other guys. This is my house too. You can't just kick me out. I can, and I will. Don't you remember that this house actually belongs to my parents? They gave it to me right before we got married. It's my house. Maybe you should move in with Susie. It was cold the rest of the night. The next day, she suggested we sleep in different rooms, but I told her the bed was ours together and I was going to sleep there. If she didn't want to share a bed with me, she could sleep elsewhere. We avoided each other for the rest of the day. Around 8, Ida came downstairs in her little black dress, stockings, and garter belt. I couldn't see the garter belt or the top of the stockings, but I recognized the look. In heels, her hair was styled. She was wearing makeup and night on the town jewelry. The only thing she was holding was a small clutch bag. I had my phone, my wallet, and my ID. I think that's all I need. What about suitcases, clothes, makeup, toiletries, etc.? I'm only going out for the night. Why do I need all that stuff? I'll be back before morning. Actually, as soon as you walk out that door, I'll change the locks as soon as I leave. I told you I didn't think you'd be happy living here if you kept insisting on this. Don't be silly. I know you love me enough to let me do this. You obviously don't love me enough not to. If you walk out that door, you won't come back in. Just as she was about to reply, a car horn sounded from the driveway. It was Susie. I have to go, but we'll talk when I get home. I had installed some hidden apps on her phone while she was getting ready in the bathroom. This meant I could track her location, read her text messages, record her phone conversations, and even activate her microphone and camera without her knowledge. In fact, I activated her microphone as soon as she left the house. It was recording her conversation with Susie while they were driving. I'll listen to it later. First things first, there was work to be done. The first order of business was replacing the door locks with the new ones I'd bought earlier that day. Then I got her car out of the garage, reprogrammed the garage door opener, and retrieved the remote control. I'd also packed all of her clothes, toiletries, and cosmetics into the boxes I'd brought ahead of me. 2 hours later, I loaded all her stuff into the car. Now it was time to listen to her conversation with Susie. God is angry. I warned you about this. He'll be upset for a week or so, but it'll pass once he sees how much better making love to you is. He'll start to accept the situation. Guys are like dogs. You can get away with anything if you reward them properly. If you use your body properly, you can influence their attitude to suit your needs. I hope the guy you set me up with doesn't leave me too upset to have the energy to make good love to Rob tomorrow night. Make sure you get a good soak in the tub tomorrow to ease any pain. Take off your panties and leave them in the car. You won't be needing them today, so you can take them off. You had to put them on first. They both laughed. I guess I should describe Susie. She's a 54 dynamo. She has long, fiery red hair that goes all the way down to her waist. Her eyes are emerald green, and she has an angelic face. She has 38 D&D breasts and a very toned, sculpted body. She has a slim waist and the morals of a street cat. She's got all 4. She'd been divorced 4 times by the time she was 26. That's pretty impressive, especially given that she was only 26. I never pushed it, but it wasn't for lack of opportunity. She made it more than clear that I would be welcome in her bed any time I wanted. I should also mention that this wasn't the first time. This was the fourth time she'd tried to persuade Ida to do something pretty foolish. Usually, it was attempts to involve us in some kind of threesome or more. So far, I'd managed to avoid that. I listened some more before they arrived at the club. I tried to listen to anything, but it was impossible. There was just too much noise. Instead, I started doing some online banking and watching her location on the GPS. I withdrew half of the money from the checking account, paid off and canceled our joint credit cards, transferred all of our savings to an offshore account I'd opened a couple of years ago, and transferred about 70% of our investments to a separate account in my name. I noticed that the GPS unit on Ida's phone was moving, so I opened the microphone on it again. Sure enough, I could hear an unfamiliar male voice talking to her. Oh, my phone's ringing. Rustling. Hi Susie, what's up? Hey girl, did you leave with that guy you were dancing with? Yeah. We're going back to your place for a little alone time. I hope it's okay if we use the spare bedroom for an hour or so. No problem. I'll probably be there soon with his friend. We'll have fun. I hope so. I'll need to shower after we're done so I can go home. That's what I thought. I put some shampoo and body wash in the spare bathroom for you. Thanks. I'll see you later. I turned on her camera to see if I could get a glimpse of the guy she was with. I only caught a glimpse of him as she was putting her phone down. He didn't make much of an impression on me. All I could tell was that he looked like he was in his early 30s, with black hair that had thinned. Judging by his height, when he sat down, he was a little shorter. I turned everything off because they were still driving when I saw that they had arrived at Susie's house. I turned the microphone and camera back on and kept listening until I heard them start to move away from the phone. This was not a good situation. I needed her phone in the same room so I could get audio evidence of her deception. Video was unlikely to work. Sorry, what's up? It's my husband's call, so ignore it. I'll just have a quick chat and get rid of it. Hey, what's new? I'm at Susie's. We're just going to relax for a bit and then she's taking me home. I'll be back in a couple of hours. We just put on a movie. Great. I just wanted to make sure you weren't in. It's a tricky situation. I'm fine. Don't worry. I'll see you in a couple of hours. She'd probably had a couple of drinks too many, because she didn't even notice that I didn't use any affectionate language, or tell her. Loved her when I hung up. She also didn't realize that I said goodbye at the end. Somehow she took the phone with her into the bedroom. I think it was because she was walking there when she talked to me. Even better, she put it on the nightstand leaning against the lamp, so the camera got a pretty good view of most of the bed. I'm pretty sure I'll never be able to use it in court, but at the time I didn't care too much about that. I watched enough of the video to make sure they were really. After having sex, he minimized the window and continued recording. If she wanted to go out and have sex with other guys, there was no reason for him to just sit at home and wait for her to come back. You know the saying, goose and gander. In fact, he was going to go out and have sex too. He was going to rub it in her face. She didn't come. She ended up staying at my place. I spent the rest of the weekend doing projects around the house and working on my old truck. I have a 1972 GMC pickup that I bought cheap a few years ago. I've been working on it for a while now. I put in an inline 350 engine and replaced the old 3-speed manual transmission with a BorgWarner Super T10 4-speed. I also replaced the manual transmission with a 12-speed. I also installed a bolt rear differential, leather bucket seats, and matte black paint. The only thing left to do was to finish installing the TED steel lines to connect the engine to the fuel radiator and vacuum fittings. The work kept me busy throughout the week. Since I stopped communicating with Ida, I was able to finish the truck and get it ready for the road. I also went to the lawyer's office and started preparing the divorce papers. There was really no way to not give her half of everything, given the divorce laws. I think this state must have been written by hardened feminists. Let's face it, if you are a man, you are screwed in your divorce. Women cheat, and the poor innocent husband who has been faithful and done nothing wrong ends up paying the cheating woman to keep cheating. There's not much the guy can do to protect himself. So, Friday night came. My truck was cleaned out and ready to go. I took a shower, shaved, lightly perfumed with cologne, got dressed, and put on a nice new pair of Levi's jeans and a black button-up shirt. I put on a shirt and rattlesnake skin cowboy boots. It was time to treat myself, so I went to a nice steakhouse for dinner to start my evening. I won't bore you with the details, but the baked potato and vegetables were great, as was the salad. Now for the main event. When I left the restaurant, I checked to see where Ida was. She and Susie had got to the club about half an hour ago. It was time to put my plan into action. I had every reason to expect that this would finally annoy Ida. I couldn't help but smile as I parked a couple of spots away from Ida's car. Ida was the designated driver today, which made my plan a little easier since I wouldn't have to worry about Susie leaving her stranded. I was mostly concerned that it would be a little harder to get Susie to leave with me if she was driving. I'd made a plan as well as a plan B in case of any unexpected issues. They showed themselves. I went into the club, and they were easy to spot. "Susie, I didn't know you'd be here," I said as I approached their table with a glass in my hand. I waited until Ida got up to dance with some guy. "Rob, what are you doing here?" she asked nervously. "Probably the same thing you are," I replied. Since Ida moved out, I thought I'd try this club and have a little fun tonight. Speaking of which, would you like to dance? I should probably let you know that Ida is here with me. How is that stopping you from dancing with me? Since she's not here, I can only assume she's either in the bathroom or on the dance floor by herself. Come on, you've never shied away from dancing with me before. Her concerned look turned into a chuckle. I'd love to dance with you. We were. We danced for 3 fast songs before the slow number came on. I didn't give her a chance to leave. As soon as the music started, I pulled her in and pulled her against me. It took about a song and a half before Ida noticed me. I almost fell to the floor from laughing when the surprise on her face changed to fear that I had caught her. She left the dance floor right after the song ended. I walked back to their table. Now I could see her looking at me with anger. "You're such a fool. I haven't even begun to annoy you," I thought to myself. Susie clung tightly to me as we danced slowly together. As I said before, Susie is a real bombshell. It didn't take me long to get excited. It didn't take her long to realize it either. She looked up at me with a big smile and started rubbing herself against me some more. When she leaned back a little, I caught a glimpse of her breasts trying to break through the thin dress. I'd already figured out she'd left her bra at home. As I turned to face Ida, I slowly moved my hand down and started caressing her ass. I was on the right track when the song ended. I escorted Susie back to their table. She invited me to join them, and I agreed. On the way back, we stopped and asked the waitress to refresh our drinks. Being the gentleman that I am, I asked her to put all 3 drinks on my tab. "Robert, what are you doing here?" Ida hissed angrily. "What do you mean I'm doing the same thing you're doing? I'm drinking, dancing, and having fun. Is that forbidden? Don't try to play innocent. You're here to ruin." "Ida, I had no idea you'd be here. We haven't spoken since you moved in, so I didn't know where you'd be. I heard about this club from my colleagues, and since you weren't around, I decided to check it out and have a fun night of drinking and dancing. Are you saying that's okay for you but not for me? I have to say that's pretty hypocritical." With that being said, I turned to Susie and started chatting with her. Ida was seething with anger while I tried to ignore her. She must have decided to make me jealous because she tried to dance with as many guys as possible. She also started grinding on them and dancing as flirtatiously as possible. I laughed to myself as I spent time with Susie. Every time I saw another guy make a move to walk up and ask her to dance, I would pull her out onto the dance floor before they even got to the table. Before long, no one else was trying, since it was obvious we were together. After a couple of hours, I decided it was time for Ida to be on the dance floor. "Sue was well prepared and gracious at your place with me." I whispered in her ear, "Ida will be there soon. Does it really matter?" "I assume she has her own room." I kissed the spot where her neck meets her shoulder. "To hell with it," she said. "She said she's driving. She can get home on her own." "Let's go," I said. I held her in suspense as I drove her. We went to her place, where I caressed her thigh and occasionally stroked her body. Her dress was off, over her head and on the floor as soon as the door closed. She grabbed my hand and practically dragged me into her bedroom. We made love all night. Breakfast was awkward, to say the least. It seemed we woke Ida up with our morning fiddling. When I came out, she was already in the kitchen, making coffee. Ida asked when I entered the kitchen. "It's all right. I'll make it myself," she said. I noticed the slight she had a cheeky look on her face when she asked. I got a clean cup out of the cupboard and stood next to Keurig while he filled the cup. I had no idea what would be in the coffee she made for me. There wasn't much conversation between us after that. She and Susie talked for a while and I chatted to Susie. It seems that at the club, Ida eventually noticed that the 2 of us were missing and put 2 and 2 together. I think she expected me to take Susie to my house and was pretty annoyed when she saw my truck in the parking lot at the house. She started ranting so much that the guy she'd brought home for the night jumped back in his car and drove off. Ida looked at me with a kind of wolfish gaze during breakfast. Not long after that, I drove away. I can be pretty intense when I want to be. I was really motivated at the time. Ida worked with some very attractive single women. I met them several times at her company events and parties we threw. Of course, I had their contact information. I started contacting them over the next few weeks. I convinced most of them to go on a date with me. Some of them were a little concerned because Ida and I were still married. But as Ida talked about her adventures at work and I assured them that we had broken up, they became more relaxed. I began to hear that there was tension between Ida and Susie because of my little inge. And soon there was also tension between Ida and most of the other single women in the office. So I started going out with Ida's girlfriends and co-workers. I socialized with them, went out for drinks and dinners, asked them to dances, took them to shows, and made sure I was around when Ida was. I also used the GPS tracking app and voice and video app on her phone to my advantage. I heard that most of her co-workers were still going out with guys. The workers I dated were amazed at their dates with me. She was still going out and bringing guys with her. She and Susie were becoming more conflicted. I was having a great time. I went out, ate dinner, danced, and made love. I was also having fun listening to Ida's rants. That's not how it's supposed to work. What do you mean? Susie said he was supposed to wait for. I was supposed to sow my last wild oats and then greet him so we could start our family. He wasn't supposed to meet and make love to other women. Susie was puzzled too. I wasn't expecting that either. So, what are you going to do? Well, I've had my fun and none of the other guys have been able to sway me the way Rob has. Besides, our anniversary is coming up and we've got a plan to start trying for a baby on our anniversary. He really knows how to make a girl feel special. Susie knew what she was talking about. Why did you bring him here and make love to my husband all night and the next morning? You cheater. Hey, calm down. I've been interested in him for years. What was I supposed to do? When he jumped me like that, he went all in and pushed all my buttons. I couldn't help myself. But he's my husband. You could show some respect for your best friend, okay? I'm sorry. Look, he didn't even call me anymore. I doubt we'll ever see each other again. Besides, I'm not the one you should be mad at. He checked out all of our single colleagues. I can't believe these women are setting me up like this. It's time to get back what's mine. I'll call him later and tell him I'm ready to come back and start our family. She had no idea what was going to happen next. It was time to proceed with the final part of the plan. I called my attorney and gave her final instructions. Our anniversary was just over a week away, and I needed to prepare for an unforgettable celebration. Ida called later that afternoon. She wanted to come home right away, but I told her I had other plans, and I didn't know what her plans were. I also told her I had some work to do around the house and I wanted to surprise her when she got home. I didn't want her to see it until it was done. It was going to be part of her wedding anniversary present. I may have given a hint or two that she might have thought one of the bedrooms had been turned into a nursery for a newborn. I never actually said that. Eventually, I convinced her that she could come over on our anniversary to get her surprise. Would she really be? I was surprised at how everything had been finalized. It was Saturday night, and the anniversary party I had planned was in full swing. I had a barbecue and a pool party to celebrate. Ida didn't realize that I had installed the pool in the last 2 months. That was just the beginning of the surprise. All of our friends and family were there, along with a couple of other guests. It was about 6. It was 6 p.m. morning. When the doorbell rang, it was just in time. I'd told Ida to come over, and she'd seen a lot of cars in front of the house, so she already knew we were having a party. She was surprised when she carried her suitcases into the house. It's all right, I said. The guest of honor has. Rob arrived, so I told him what was going on. I thought we were going to go out for a quiet Roman dinner tonight, but she said, "Oh no, it's a big holiday tonight, and I want all our family and friends to be here to celebrate with us." I said, "Okay, honey. It just surprises me a little bit. I wasn't expecting that. Just put your suitcases over here. We'll take care of them later. You'll be here in time for dinner. As the guest of honor, you and I will be first in line." Ida quickly got up to speed and began to enjoy herself. There was no talk of the activities of the past 2 months. We ate, drank, and laughed. When we'd finished dinner, we put away the dishes and the lights were on in the backyard. Ida was really surprised by the pool and a few other changes to the house. I hadn't shown her the upstairs yet, but she was hinting that she wanted to see what I had done because she still thought I've turned the bedrooms into a nursery. Finally, it was time to reveal the rest of the surprises. Can I have your attention, please? I have a few announcements to make on this special day. I yelled for everyone to quiet down and listen. The stereo was off, and everyone quieted down and moved closer to me. Thank you all for coming today. Now I have a couple of announcements to make. Double A, could you come this way, please? After she stood next to me, I continued. I want everyone to know that yesterday was my last day of work. The only person who knows about it is my former boss. He was really friendly about it since I gave him a month's notice and explained what my plans were. I'm now announcing that I'm starting my own consulting company, which will allow me more freedom to spend time with my family. Ida was really happy when I emphasized the last word, as you all know. Today is Ida and my 5th anniversary. What most of you don't know is that we plan to start a family on this day. Having said that, I want to give Ida a special anniversary gift to mark our relationship. I discreetly took a couple of steps to the side and nodded to the red-haired woman at the back of the group. Ida Bader, you've been served. I should mention that most of you don't know this, but 2 months ago Ida told me she was going to date and sleep with other men. She didn't ask me if I was okay with it. She left. I had no choice. She simply told me that she was going to do it and that there was nothing I could do about it. For the past 2 months, she has been living with her friend and taking different men to her house to have sex with them. I simply won't put up with this. I've also dated other women, but I started that after Ida had already broken her wedding vows. Ida screamed at me for my actions. I'm giving you a divorce so you can go and sleep with whoever you want. I want to reassure you that it won't be me. I told Ida I was doing some remodeling on the house, so I did. You saw the pool, I added, and a few other things downstairs. I also repainted the master bedroom and installed a new, larger shower, as well as a jacuzzi tub in the master bath. I also tore out the wall between the 2 smaller spare bedrooms to expand them into one large bedroom with its own bathroom. I did this for a very specific reason. The woman had red hair and was about 10 years old. The red-haired girl was heading towards me. I'd like you all to meet my attorney, Tara O'Reilly, and her daughter Simon. Tara is also a single mom. I met Tara 2 months ago, on the Monday after Ida went clubbing and brought her first boyfriend to her house. Since then, we've gotten really close, although we haven't officially started dating yet. We have a good feeling about this. Once the divorce is final and she's no longer working as my attorney, we plan to be together. Her lease will be up soon, and Tara and Simone will move in with me. I turned to Ida again, asking what to do with your suitcases. You can take them back. You're not coming back here. I told you I wouldn't stand for it, but you just rushed ahead and ruined our marriage. Ida sobbed uncontrollably. Her family screamed and yelled, and most of her friends quickly withdrew. My family sat stunned. Tara and Simone quietly went upstairs and out of sight. They were prepared for this. They were fine with it, to be honest. I hadn't even kissed Tara, and we'd only gone out to dinner a few times and spent a few evenings at their apartment. We agreed to put everything else on hold until my divorce was final. She divorced her husband 5 years ago because she caught him cheating. Ida cheated. She went out a few times after that, but it never felt right. Eventually, everyone finally left. I don't know where Ida went that same day. I deleted all the spy apps I had on her. I was no longer interested in what she was doing. Would it have been better to handle it differently? Maybe. I shouldn't have dragged Tara, and I probably shouldn't have involved Simone again. The simple answer is anger. I was angry at what Ida had done. I also wanted to make sure everyone knew that Ida had ruined our marriage with her selfishness. I wanted to publicly make Ida feel the pain she had caused me. She had killed my love for her and made me hate her. I wanted her to feel the loss of love and the hatred she caused. I could have just served her at work while she lived with Susie. I could have just sent everyone a package with my proofs. I could have done a lot of things that would have been much more mature and much less painful for everyone in the end. I did what I did, Ida. I went back to her house. It lasted about 2 weeks before they were at each other's throats. Eventually, she got her own apartment. I see her around town a lot. The expression on her face when she sees me alternates between sadness and anger. I think it depends on her mood. We don't exchange pleasantries. I did hear from one of her colleagues. She left the company and found a new job. The stress of seeing me with many other women at work became too much for her. I also see her family occasionally. When Tara and Simone have dinner, we don't talk, but they frown at us. We just ignore it. Speaking of Tara and Simone, Ida tried to fight the divorce, but soon realized it was a hopeless cause. She wanted it to be over soon. Tara allowed me to increase the pressure on Ida by continuing to get to know Ida's key workers. Ida signed the papers after she heard a great review about our night together with her colleague. The day my fourth date at work arrived, the papers officially dissolving my marriage were served. Tara and Simone moved in with me a year later. Tara and I got married. She let me open her back. On our wedding night, she told me I could have the key at all times and could open it whenever I wanted. A year later, we met Ida as Tara, Simone, and I were wandering through a street fair. Ida turned and ran away sobbing when she saw Tara's pregnant belly. 6 months later, she was pregnant.